Stupid, despicable, narcissist. Those are the words that Mitch McConnell reportedly used to describe Donald Trump after the 2020 election, according to an upcoming biography of the Senate Republican leader. The Associated Press has new excerpts from their reporter tonight, revealing that McConnell privately said in a recorded diary of his, quote, "It's not just the Democrats who are counting down the days until Trump leaves office." And, quote, "For a narcissist like Trump, his 2020 election loss has been really hard to take." In another, McConnell reportedly called Trump stupid, ill-tempered, adding that he can't even figure out where his own best interests lie. My panel is back. I should mention, Scott, what are your thoughts on the book? Not on the book. What are your thoughts on what McConnell said about Donald Trump?
Well, they're not going to be golfing buddies. These are two guys who couldn't be different. Brash New York real estate developer versus, Southern, institutionalist senator. That didn't stop them from working together before, and it's not stopping McConnell from realizing what the best direction of the country is now. But there is really, obviously, no disputing. McConnell was really, really upset with Trump at the end of his administration, at the end of December, and then on January the 6th. He made that clear in public statements. He made it clear on the Senate floor. He's made it clear in this book. That's never going to change. I mean, he has very strong feelings about what Trump did that day. At the same time, he also has strong feelings about the future of the direction of the government and of the country. And like he said in his statement today, a lot of Republicans have had disagreements with Trump over the years. And now they're all back on the same team.
No, this is a statement worth reading in full. Sometimes we sum them up. This is what McConnell said today when this report came out. He said, quote, "Whatever I may have said about President Trump pales in comparison to what J.D. Vance, Lindsey Graham, and others have said about him, but we are all on the same team now."
Yeah, and look, there are millions of Republican voters all over this country.
That bus just ran over J.D. Vance and Lindsey Graham.
But there's nothing new about this. We know what J.D. Vance said some of it on CNN. We know what Lindsey Graham said. We know what lots of Republicans have said. And we know that a lot of Republican voters have had issues with Trump over the years on January 6th and other issues. And now they're confronted with a choice. And the choice is a center-right government and that kind of direction for our country, or Kamala Harris. And Mitch McConnell, nor the average rank-and-file Republican voter, thinks they got to have Kamala Harris rammed down their throat just because they had some kind of fundamental disagreement with their party's nominee in the past. So all the Republicans are together, even if they're not going to go golfing this weekend.
Okay, they're not all together. I think Mike Pence, Mitt Romney, and others would like a word. Maria, but what do you just make of this? I mean, all of those comments from McConnell, he has endorsed him. He is voting for him.
And that is one of the things I think that the American people look at the Republican Party and say, where is your backbone? Where are your morals? Where is your true north? You say these horrible things about somebody, and then you just come back and you kiss the ring because you're afraid for your own political future. That is not real leadership. And I think the vast majority of Americans believe that. And especially when this book comes out, they're going to see it yet again, that yet another well-respected Republican leader that historically represented Republican values and Republican positions said bad things about Donald Trump, and Scott's right, they all did, but then he also capitulated, bent the knee, kissed the ring, endorsed him, because he was thinking about his own political future. Now he's a free man, so hopefully he'll be starting to say...
There's not much more of a political future. I think Mitch McConnell developed a reputation for being one of the most careful, calculated politicians on the Hill. Now that he's on his way out, he can kind of let loose. And that's why that statement doesn't deny the reporting. Yeah. He's not trying to get into a fight with the reporter and say, I didn't say those things. Yeah. His response is kind of like, yeah, I said it. We all said it on my way out.
Well, and he recorded it himself. I mean, there are quotes that McConnell, it's a recorded diary of basically.
Well, he's keeping
audio.
Archives because of his leadership position.
Sure.
Well, a couple things that are important to remember. What you said is true. He won't be the leader after this term, so he doesn't have responsibility for the whole conference. Number two, he's got 2 years left in this term. Number three, they had a pretty successful run on domestic policy. They are going to have some run-ins, I think, on foreign policy, where McConnell's going to focus the next couple of years is on defense spending, rebuilding America's military, making us the arsenal of democracy, and our overall role in the world. They may butt heads on this, but overall, McConnell would tell you, we cut taxes, we put judges on the court, we did the Supreme Court, we did things that moved the country in a direction that fundamentally reflect my Republican values, and I think that's why he has no trouble voting Republican in this election.
Despicable and a narcissist. Not clear what Trump will do on Ukraine. He wants to end the war. Zelensky has talked about, ending it on Putin's terms and not Ukraine's
They may butt
terms.
heads on this.
This also, it's more than butting heads, though. And it made me think of what is coming out in the Bob Woodward book, two books that are deeply revealing a lot of information with General Secretary Mattis, who was Trump's defense secretary, his first one, who agreed with Mark Milley, who called Trump the most dangerous person ever. Now, this is something that's being reported in a book. He's not necessarily giving interviews and saying this publicly.
Right, but he's also not the only one. And so this, I think, also goes to a trend, which is where many Republicans are so worried about Donald Trump that they are putting country before party, and they are going to support Kamala Harris. She had this big event with over 100 Republicans, many of the Republicans who worked for Donald Trump in his cabinet, the closest advisors to him. When you are somebody that wants to be the leader of the free world yet again for the second time, and your closest advisors who worked for you the first time are the first ones to say, this person is too dangerous to be commander-in-chief again, the American people are going to listen to that. And especially Republicans who might have voted for him the first time around are going to take notice and be like, I don't know if I can do this again.
But can I just say one thing on that? There's very much a difference between people who were advisors to the president versus elected officials who still need to go out and win seats or win other races. Like, they have very different posturing. So I'm not
Agreed.
surprised that
The
former
elected
Trump
officials have
cabinet
no
people-
backbone.
Yes,
They don't want to
exactly.
put
I'm not
country
surprised
before
that
party.
former Trump cabinet people are now coming out and saying, oh, he was the worst ever, whatever. They're not running for new races.
But they're also not saying it publicly in interviews themselves. It's Bob Woodward's reporting, quoting them. I think a lot of it has to do with the military. They don't want.
Yes.
They're worried about former military
like
leadership
Olivia
speaking out
Troy,
on
and then
political.
so many others who were there with him. I mean, they are coming out publicly. And so, to your point, yes, it's not elected officials because, that is not a profile in courage right there, especially when we've seen the crumbling of the Republican Party and in the remaking of the Trump Party, because that is exactly what's happening. And so when you have a lot of Republicans who are bending the knee regardless of the bad things that they have said about Donald Trump, and then another group of Republicans, and Kamala Harris is a Democrat who is highlighting that, you're going to have a lot of Americans say, you know what? This is consequential. This person is too dangerous to elect yet again, and I am also going to put country before party.